From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, I'm Wawodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, 6 people killed, many others injured after a train rammed into a bus conveying some staff of the Lagos state government at a rail crossing in the Ikeja area of Lagos. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu suspends his political campaign for 3 days, directs flying of Lagos at half-mast over the deadly accident. PDP and LP governorship candidates Olajide Adediro and Gbadebo Road survivor join in mourning the victims. Praises and knocks trail postponement of governorship and state assembly elections by INEC. Labour Party says it is no longer had confidence in the electoral umpire.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's crude oil output hit a 13-month high of 1.3 million barrels per day, the latest report by Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission.
On sports news tonight, EPL leaders Arsenal force host Sporting Lisbon to a 2-2 draw in the first leg quarterfinal of the UEFA Europa League.
And from Abuja once more, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike talks tough. Says second phase of the power tussle in the PDP is to chase away those who kicked against the party's provision on power rotation.
And in international news from London, at least 9 people have been killed and power at Europe's largest nuclear plant has been lost after Russia launched missile attacks across Ukraine.
On a rather disturbing note right here in Lagos, where 6 people lost their lives today at a train accident as it rammed into a bus conveying staff of the Lagos state government at the PWB bus stop in the Ikeja area at the nation's commercial hub. Many others were injured and are now receiving treatment at the Lagos State Teaching Hospital. 2 of the victims died at the scene of the accident, while 4 others died at the hospital. The driver of the bus has since been arrested. Our correspondent, Dari Dawu, reports.
An active scene of the deadly accident of Thursday morning. A train traveling on the narrow gauge on this corridor rammed into the staff bus of the Lagos state government, leaving 6 people dead. Many others were injured. Officials cleared the scene, moving the damaged bus off the rail track. No clear signaling system in sight, but the man entrusted with the responsibility of avoiding such collision says he did his best to stop the bus driver.
Before train reach this market, we must make sure that we stop all the trains.
Yeah.
But this one is just confidently.
Yeah, it just came out of
that you want to overtake. That is,
so that means other people don't stop.
Other people don't stop.
You just want to overtake and then run and the train comes down. Thank you. Well done.
Eyewitnesses also corroborate his account.
There was a shuttle bus that passed before the BRC because that was what he saw before he crossed. Before he wanted, it was like, because the train was not very close to them. So it wasn't very close, so it was like somewhere here and he was there. So he felt maybe he could maneuver before the train could come close.
I saw the train and the bus. So a lot of people is inside the bus. There's no people to rescue them out. So instantly I saw all those things. So I feel pain. So I rushed inside the bus. So I started packing people and rescuing them inside the bus, outside.
The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party visits the scene to sympathize with the victim.
For us, I think that it's about time we begin to have a barrier whenever the train is coming, a barrier that would ensure that don't even have access to cross. In about 2-3 kilometers to that time, put a stop to every vehicular movement around there.
The scene is still busy amid the usual vehicular traffic on that corridor. We observe and caught on camera how crossings are managed at this particular intersection. As emergency management officials clear the scene here in the Ikeja area of Lagos, more questions are being asked on the issue of safety on the rail corridor. Pedestrian and vehicular crossings at intersections in the metropolis where more rail lines are being built.
What we're trying to do is to eliminate the interaction between rail and vehicles, and that's why we're building overpasses. When you go to Ikeja, when you go to Yaba, you go to Oyinbo, and then Mushin, we have built 4. I think the Agege also, we constructed Agege, and then we have 5 others which the federal government will build. I think they finished one, they've commissioned this one, and then there are others that they will build. So once the train is in full operation, you would not have this interaction between vehicles and rail.
These fatal vehicle train crash is the second in the space of 4 months across the country. In December 2022, a passenger train from Kaduna to Abuja killed a pedestrian on the rail track, raising more concerns about safety on the nation's rail corridor. Tari Idun, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has suspended his political campaign for 3 days following the accident. Governor Sanwo-Olu also directed that all flags will fly at half-mast to mourn the victims.
That's the Lagos State staff bus which collided with a train in the PWD area of Ikeja, sited at Obafemi Awolowo Way, being taken to Alausa. Within that axis is the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LASUTH, where victims of the accident are receiving treatment under the makeshift tent provided by the hospital. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is here to see things for himself. He moves around the hospital alongside his deputy, Quadri Hamzat, the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, the Chief Medical Director of LASUTH, Professor Adetokunbo Fabanwo, among other state government officials, to see over 80 people who were part of the tragic incident.
Where is Moses?
After going round, Governor Sanwo-Olu gives details of the casualty figure.
We have 85 passengers that were in the bus. From the immediate triage, that was conducted and to separate, various degrees of injuries. 42 were classified as moderate injuries. 29 are serious injuries. 8 are mild injuries. And unfortunately, we have recorded 6 fatalities. 2 were brought in dead from the site, which was what LASEMA, first respondents, talked about. But here in LASUTH, we've had 4 additional deaths, at ICU and some while undergoing the surgery.
He also says his campaign activities will be suspended for 3 days to mourn the victims.
I've also instructed that all our flags, Lagos State flags, political flags, should be, raised, and half-mast for the next 3 days. We're actually also declaring, a 3-day, mourning for us as a state, so that we can mourn our staff very, very well, deeply, and we can have time to go around the family members and just, commensurate with them. I will also be suspending my campaign for the next 3 days. There will not be any form of public engagement or any form of campaigning.
The State Commissioner for Information and Strategy also clears the air about the news making the rounds on the social media, claiming that the victims are not well attended to.
Just to correct the impression that is on the social media that the victims are not being well taken care of. It's all lies. what you are seeing here that people are lying down there is what we call a triage center, an emergency center set up by medical personnel for them to be able to sort out people who are victims. There are some who will be treated here and be allowed to go home. There are some that will need admission and they will need to stay for some other days. So that you don't pack people who have their arms broken with people who are merely traumatized. That is why you have this kind of center to be able to sort them out.
While the driver of the bus has already handed himself to the State Police Command, the Lagos State government is encouraging the public to come forward and donate blood for the victims in order to save more lives.
The governorship candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes-Viver, has also joined in mourning the victims of the fatal accidents in Lagos today. Mr. Rhodes-Viver, who visited the hospital where the injured are receiving treatment, expressed sadness over the incident. In his message, he called for help to victims of that accident, and according to him, we must do all to the best we can to help emergency services get help to all affected. Early reports confirm that a lot of injuries have been sustained by the accident. If you're a blood donor in the Ikeja area, please be on standby as requests may be coming out soon. The Department of State Services, the DSS, says that there are orchestrated plans to cause a total breakdown of law and order in the country. The security agency said the plot is designed for execution after the governorship and state assembly elections. In a statement by the spokesperson Peter Afunaya, the security agency decried the unnecessary palpable political tension in parts of the country. The statement reads, "It is observed that some of the players are at daggers drawn with another. The development holds dire consequences for national peace and stability. It is in view of these that the service warns politicians and other supporters to engage constructively. Everyone is advised to shun fake news, hate speech, and such other utterances that may be inimical to peaceful coexistence. Election should not be seen as a do-or-die affair." The DSS also says it is collaborating with sister agencies to carry out mop-up operations to thwart nefarious plans and activities of undesirable elements to outrightly undermine the electoral processes. The DSS is calling on all Nigerians to abide by the rules of the Electoral Act and extant guidelines. And more reactions are still trailing yesterday's ruling of the appeal court, allowing the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to reconfigure the BVAS for the governorship and House of Assembly elections. And the Inter-Party Advisory Council says the decision and postponement of the election gives INEC more time to prepare for the exercise. Addressing a news conference in Abuja after an emergency meeting of the council, the national chairman of IPAC, Mr. Yabagi Sani, appealed to the presidential candidates to stick to seeking legal redress in order not to jeopardize the peace of the nation.
Now, maybe let's say 80% of it.
The battle for the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections has moved to the courts, while some are on the streets to challenge the outcome of the exercise. However, the Presidential Election Tribunal has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to reconfigure the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS machine, which is generating some reactions.
It is pertinent to put on record that I have always, in all my interviews, go and check, express confidence in INEC. But their behavior and the manner and the way in which they handled the last election have destroyed the confidence completely, which I have in INEC. And I want to say that since that order was made, that we should be given the opportunity to inspect election materials. The INEC have not allowed us access till now. We've not been able to inspect materials. Our lawyers have been going there on a daily basis. Our technical experts have been going there on a daily basis. And we've not been allowed access.
The election schedule has a very definite timeline with constitutional implications.
And so we cannot afford, if we don't want the constitutional lacuna, we cannot afford to...
Re-elect Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu as governor and Obafemi Kadiri Hamzat as deputy governor, Lagos State.
APC Progress. New So Clean concentrated detergent. 2 times the work, 2 times the speed, 2 times the strength. To win, we know what it takes. New So Clean 30% concentrated detergent. Now with 2 times the cleaning power. So Clean. For a faster, brighter, cleaner wash. With 2 times the cleaning power. So Clean, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
Looking for a luxurious lifestyle with modern infrastructural facilities and serenity? Come to Sapphire Garden, located at Kilometer 39, Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, Lagos. Developed by POC Nigeria Limited, Sapphire Garden has different house types and service plots with 24 hours electricity supply. We completed and delivered on our promises for Phase 1. We are presently in our Phase 2 and still expanding to Phase 3, strategically located for a greater return on investment. The time to invest is now. For more inquiries, contact Paul Osaji and Company on 0807-979-2000. Think comfort. Think Sapphire Garden. Sapphire Garden. Welcome back to nature.
In May 2019, I received the mandate of the great people of Lagos State. We hit the ground running. From day one, we envisioned great infrastructure as well as social and economic intervention projects that would positively impact the lives of Lagosians. To date, we have spent billions of naira on roads, rail, and water transportation infrastructure. I've also done the same on health and education as we enter the last lap of our first mandate. There's more to be done. Today, we are set to complete groundbreaking legacy projects that will show that a greater Lagos is indeed arising. This book will never close. Our work is not done. I, Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, again seek your mandate to keep our greater Lagos rising.
Let us re-elect Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu and Kadri Obafemi Hamzat as Governor and Deputy Governor of Lagos State on Saturday, the 11th of March, 2023. Let's keep our greater Lagos rising. ABC Progress.
It's never just your dream, but also of those close to you. It's never just your hustle, but also of those who believe in you. It's never just your disappointment, but also of those who share your hopes. It's never just your ambition, but also of those who have faith in you. Which is why it's never your success alone, but also of those who stood by you.
When malaria wants your power for your side, he come knock you down. I'm a them soft gel. Me I tell you no say, malaria medicine when no get bad taste. Oh, bitter taste for mouth, and it get easy to swallow. I correct game changer. I'm a them soft gel.
Say no to malaria. Yes to life.
The lighthouse for this bold vision was built by its illustrious predecessors, a vision to make Lagos a 21st century model megacity. Since assumption of office in 2019, he has steadfastly followed this path of progressive governance. He and his team have never rested. Every waking moment, they roll up their sleeves to make the vision even sharper, clearer, and greater, with laser-like focus to build a city where dreams come true. They have embarked on building critical infrastructure projects costing billions of naira and make life better for our people. Now, to continue with this audacious class of governance, let us re-elect Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu and Kadri Obafemi Hamzat as Governor and Deputy Governor of Lagos State. Let's keep our greater Lagos rising. ABC Progress.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. 6 people killed, many others injured after a train rammed into a bus conveying some staff of the Lagos State government at a rail crossing in the Ikeja area of Lagos. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu suspends his political campaign for 3 days, directs flying of flags at half-mast over the deadly accident. PDP and LP governorship candidates Olajide Adediran and Gbadebo Survivor join in mourning the victims. Praises a Knox trail postponement of the governorship and state assembly elections by INEC. Labour Party says it is no longer confident in the electoral umpire. At least 9 people have been killed in power at Europe's largest nuclear plant that has been lost after Russia launched missiles across Ukraine. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to allow the use of temporary voter cards in the March 18 governorship and the House of Assembly elections by 2 Nigerians. Justice Obiora Egwatu made the order in a suit filed by 2 concerned citizens, Kofuorola Olusegun and Wilson Orwell, seeking the use of temporary voter cards in the general elections in the absence of the permanent voter cards, the PVCs. The court held that the order was made on the grounds that the plaintiffs were duly registered and captured in INEC's database. The judge, however, said that he was unable to grant Prayer 3, which was to allow every eligible voter with a TVC to vote because the suit was not filed in a representative capacity. The court held that there was no portion of the law, both in the 1999 Constitution and the Electoral Act, that states that it's only the PVCs that could be used, but the law under Section 47 provided for a voter's card. INEC had repeatedly held that only eligible voters with the PVCs will be allowed to vote in the 2023 general elections. Meanwhile, INEC says that it has received a copy of the judgment delivered today by the Federal High Court Abuja Division, ordering it to allow 2 plaintiffs to vote with a temporary voter's card. The Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman, Mr. Rotimi Oyekomi, in a statement, explains that the Commission is taking immediate steps to appeal against the judgment of the trial court. The Accord Party in Oyo State has adopted Governor Seyi Makinde as its governorship candidate in the March 18 election in Oyo State. At a press briefing in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the party noted that Governor Makinde has proven himself beyond doubt that he means well for the residents of Oyo State, and his actions in the last 4 years have shown it. The party said its executives have decided to form a working alliance with the PDP to avoid interruption of ongoing plan to transform the state. And in a swift reaction to the endorsement of Governor Makinde's re-election bid, its Oyo State chapter, the National Working Committee of Accord, has already dissolved its Oyo State Executive Committee for backing the PDP candidates against the party's candidate Adebayo Adelabu. In a statement issued after a 2-hour emergency meeting of the NWC in Abuja, chaired by the national chairman, Mr. Muhammad Nalado, the party said that those relieved of their offices are the state chairman, Prince Kolade Ojo, the state secretary, Yinka Dairu, and the entire executive committee members of the party in the state. The party also explains further that the National Working Committee has resolved to constitute a 5-man caretaker committee to steer the party to victory and manage the affairs of the party to help build up the governorship and State House of Assembly elections now holding on March the 18th, 2023. We're still talking politics. Reactions are still trailing the postponement of the state elections, as well as the decision of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on the inspection of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS. While the Labour Party questioned the integrity of INEC to keep its words, others threw their weight behind the Commission, calling on political parties and other electoral stakeholders to give the electoral umpire the needed cooperation to carry out free, fair and credible exercise on March the 18th. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports. I'll bring her report later, but Gloria Umezoke is standing by in our studio in Abuja to bring us more on the news at 10. Hello, Gloria.
Hello, Millicent. Thank you. Here in Abuja, Rivers State Governor Mr. Nyesom Wike says the conclusion of the presidential election has only brought to an end the first phase of the crisis in the People's Democratic Party, declaring that the second phase of the power struggle is about to begin. According to him, the second phase is to chase away those who destroyed the party by jettisoning its constitutional provision on power rotation. Governor Nyesom Wike stated this during the commissioning of the Igurata internal roads in Ikwere local government area.
Igurata community is a few meters from the Port Harcourt International Airport and a potential suburban town that was characterized by bad road network. That status appears to have been changed with the construction of internal roads totaling 10 kilometers by the Rivers State government, and this event is for the commissioning of the project.
The project has a filling height of an average of 600 millimeters with a stone-based thickness of 150 millimeters and soil cement stabilization, and then 60 millimeter binder course and 40 millimeter wearing course.
Governor Nyesom Wike describes the construction of the roads in 6 months as an unprecedented achievement.
This road was awarded December 2021, and we gave them a period of 12 months, that's 1 year. It had been completed, but we just choose today to be a day of commissioning. So everything I have made promise here, to the glory of God, I have fulfilled them.
Then Governor Wike delves into national politics, mocking the People's Democratic Party following the outcome of the presidential election and the subsequent protest by the party's leadership.
Have you fulfilled your own?
And with the presidential election over, the governor says the next phase of power struggle in the PDP will be to reclaim the party structure.
Our constitution says, Section 73C of the PDP constitution says there shall be rotation of our public offices appointed and elective. You took the chairman of the party. You took the president. And we came to you. This is again the spirit and letter of our constitution. Give us back chairman. He said no. You must have it all. Because you have won. I said be careful.
He boasts of the chances of the PDP to win the Rivers State governorship election, announces his plans for the state civil service.
What we are doing now is a local election, it's not a national election. Do you understand me? All you are printing now must be umbrella.
With the construction of these roads, Igurata community in Ikwere local government area now appears better positioned to grow to its full potential.
In other stories, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in Plateau State has arrested 9 suspects said to be in possession of fake currencies, while 2 other suspects were apprehended for vandalizing electrical transformers. Addressing journalists at the NSCDC Plateau State Command, the public relations officer, Mr. Chrysantos Lombit, explained that the suspects were apprehended at various locations in Gombe, Nasarawa and Plateau States by personnel of the Civil Defense Corps after several operations trailing them.
In our continuous fight against economic saboteurs in the country, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, in collaboration with other security agencies, have been able to apprehend 9 suspects in connection with vandalism and sharp practicing in fake currency. The Commandant General's Special Intelligence Squad were in Plateau State and part of Nasarawa State and Gombe State, and they were able to arrest 9 people who have been dealing in fake currency. And so far, we've been able to arrest these suspects with a tone of 470,000 worth of old new currency, new 1,000 naira notes, 370,000 worth of 500 naira notes, and 412,000 worth of 1,000 naira notes of old currency. All were arrested within Nasarawa State, Nasarawa, Plateau, and Gombe State. We also, in collaboration with the Operation Safe Haven here in Plateau State, arrested 2 vandals who have vandalized a transformer in Rayom local government area. So the Commandant General's Special Intelligence Squad have been going around the country to ensure that those who are economic saboteurs in the country are apprehended and brought to book.
To legal matters once again, the coroner inquiring into the cause of death of Lagos State pastry chef Kweju Ogboma has indicted the doctors at a private hospital, Premier Specialist Medical Center, for negligence. The coroner magistrate, Mukaila Fadeyi, said that the deceased died as a result of a combination of lack of due diligence and adequate investigations of her health status before embarking on this surgery. This is coming almost 2 years after the mother of 2 died after suffering internal bleeding following an elective hysterectomy operation for a fibroid condition at the Victoria Island-based hospital in April 2021. Her husband, Ijoma Ogboma, has been speaking on the verdict.
I'm very happy with the outcome of the inquest. It's been a very long one. We've been on this since June 2021, which is about 1 year and 9 months. But I'm happy that with the ruling of the court, I think it just corroborates the fact that my wife was, the circumstances of my wife's death were not satisfactory. You recall that after we went for the MDCN panel hearing, in which 3 of their 4 doctors in the theatre were indicted, I came to the court and I told the court that my wife could have been killed 3 or 4 times. And with the long list of fault lines which have been mentioned today by the coroner, you will see that what I said was just not, it wasn't out of place at all. So I'm happy it has come, it has come to this. I'm happy. I know that tonight my children will be really happy and proud of me because they actually told me to send them a message in school, to send a message to their teacher as soon as the ruling is out. So.
The Chairman, Governing Board of Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Mrs. Loretta Onoche, has assured contractors of the commission that the debts owed them will soon be paid. She said already a committee set up by the board is putting finishing touches to its modalities for payment of the over 1 trillion naira debt owed the contractors and appealed for a little more time. The NDDC board chairman was speaking when the commission's contractors paid her a courtesy visit at the commission's headquarters in Port Harcourt, the River State capital.
For the second time in less than a month, the governing board of the Niger Delta Development Commission is engaging contractors of the agency. Just like the first engagement, this courtesy visit by the NDDC Contractors Association to the board chairman brings to bear the plight of the contractors who are owed monies for projects executed across the Niger Delta.
Contractors have been waiting for payments to resume in NDDC. And all they want to see is payments because it's been a sad story. There was a time we lined up with photographs of the contractors that died amongst us. So when a board is here and we know that a board can collectively take a decision, we are saying, let us be in the picture of whatever decision we are making.
For the chairman, NDDC Governing Board, the current board is pained to learn of the non-payment of the funds to contractors after the execution of projects for the interventionist agency. The NDDC board chairman assures that their payments will be made as the committee set up by the board is wrapping up on the modalities for the payment as the contractors restate their intention to continue their work with the NDDC.
On behalf of the federal government, on behalf of the people of Niger Delta, and on behalf of the board of this great commission, I apologize. We are working assiduously hard. It's been really difficult given that the whole nation has been thrown into this into politics at the time. So, but give us a bit of time. You will get your money once it has been judged and proven that you have done your job and you have done it according to specification. You will get paid.
We are very, very confident that from the tune of the MD and the board chairman that we've just met today, we're confident that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
With assurances this time coming from the chairman of the NDDC governing board, it is hoped that these contractors will tell a different story next time they visit the headquarters of the commission here in Port Harcourt.
Converging on the application of science and technology to mass-produce locally manufactured weapons in its efforts to address security challenges in the country. The Executive Vice Chairman of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, Professor Mohammed Haruna, said this during a courtesy visit to the Chief of Army Staff in Abuja.
This gathering of senior officers of the Nigerian Army and a delegation from the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, is to discuss collaboration and modalities to enhance national security, leveraging on science and technology. This collaboration will lead to the local production of weapons and equipment for Nigeria's armed forces.
NASENI is currently collaborating with some indigenous research institutions and industries, such as the Nigerian Machine Tools Oshogbo. NASENI and Nigerian Machine Tools Oshogbo and Nigerian Army Corps of Electrical and Mechanical Engineering jointly produced 12.7 mm AA gun through reverse engineering. I'm glad the Chief of Army Staff was there in person when we demonstrated the performance of these guns. We are hopeful of a presidential intervention to mass produce the guns for armed forces. With this achievement, I'm hopeful that we will be able to revisit our MOU discussions on local production of weapons and MRAPs.
The Chief of Army Staff believes the production and availability of the locally manufactured weapons will aid in their operations and activities.
12.7 anti-aircraft gun and MRAPs and our parcel carriers, we need them. And if we can have them locally produced here, it will aid our operational activities. Sometimes when you have them, you have to get them from other places. Even when you have the money, the processes, like you know, of getting them is very long. You have the money to buy the process of L&C and central bank, the other one before the money hit the account of the manufacturer. Sometimes after that time, they'll go and queue up for the manufacturers to produce them. Suffice to say that this is a step in the right direction.
The meeting ends with commitments from the Army and NASENI to work together in the fight against insecurity in Nigeria.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Anne Nwawadu, in Lagos.
Thank you, Gloria. FirstBank of Nigeria Limited is joining the rest of the world to celebrate the 2023 International Women's Day. The bank is dedicating the month of March to the celebration of women across the world with a call for all to embrace equity.
A fun sip and paint session to kick off the celebration of the International Women's Day event organized by FirstBank. Led by the bank's First Women Network, the ceremony convenes the theme, Embrace Equity, and women working in the bank are lauded for their remarkable achievements in the society.
It's an opportunity for us to celebrate ourselves and appreciate each other for our tireless work and dedication to make meaningful contributions to the world. The unique role we play in shaping the society through our personal and professional achievements is profound.
Thank you so much, Daddy.
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of FirstBank reinforces the objective of the First Women Network, which is to help them succeed.
The FirstBank Women Network was started March 2019, and the objective was very simple. How do we create an enabling environment that allows the ladies who have chosen to pursue career with FirstBank to be the best that they can be?
How are you going to make a difference in Lagos State, in Nigeria?
Conversations from guest speakers and panel sessions highlight opportunities for women to get tools to bridge the gender-digital divide and FirstBank's role in promoting gender equality.
As a world, we really must make sure that we're getting the other 50% to contribute. Let's assume that we're 50% across genders. It's so very important that we take all that inclusion to be really who we can be. If we're to unleash our potential, imagine unleashing the 50% who perhaps were not contributing as much. Once we do that, we'll see increase in our GDP, we'll see increase in the contribution of diversity.
FirstBank has dedicated the month of March to celebrate women across the world and their achievements over the years.
We have more on business news, and here's Jeffrey Uzoma with it.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, FirstBank.
Thanks, Anna, and welcome to Business News. Let's begin with some cherry story. Nigeria's crude oil output climbed to its highest level in over a year last month, and that's according to the latest data from the Oil Production Status Report by the Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. The data from the NUPROC mentions that the crude oil's production rose to 1.3 million barrels within February, up from 1.2 million barrels recorded in January, which marks an increase of 48 barrels on month-on-month comparison. At the same time, the output is higher by 39% when compared to the over 900,000 barrels produced in September last year in the midst of crude oil theft in the country. Meanwhile, latest data by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria's crude oil export accounted for 77% of the country's total exports in the final quarter of 2022. In its foreign trade in goods report released today, the NBS mentions that the commodity dominated the value of export trades at 4.91 billion naira within the period. At the same time, the NBS report points out that the non-crude oil export rose by 22% at the value of 1.44 billion naira. Non-oil production contributed 11.51%, while solid minerals export contribution was lower by 6.41%. And the currencies, the naira firmed up by 0.05% against the dollar today at the official Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Fixing window of the forex market. According to data released by FMDQ Exchange, the local currency traded within a market range of 446 naira and 442 naira, but eventually closed at 461 naira to the greenback. On the other hand, the local currency depreciated by 0.14% to 77 naira against the dollar at a parallel market due to lower forex supply. Now, the country's forex reserves have dropped to the lowest level in a year amid slowdown in foreign investment inflows, drop in crude oil prices, among other factors. Data from the central bank shows that Nigeria's external reserves, which was at $37 in January, fell to $36.6 billion as at March the 7th, marking a 1.1% decline with the last 2 months. The reserves stood at $39.5 billion as at the end of Q1 2022. The Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority is set to push Nigeria's digital economy to the global space. The Chief Executive Officer of NICA, Aminu Umar Sadiq, who made this known at the opening of the application portal for its Prize for Innovation program, says it will be putting in place a system that will support and fast-track the emergence of digital powerhouses. According to him, this is expected to transform Nigeria into Africa's hub for tech-enabled solutions over time. And from there, we head to the stock market, which ended today's trading session marginally higher, largely driven by Dangote Cement for a second day. John Mekwa tells us more.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, 11 billion naira may not be a fantastic gain, but recovery from 0.22% in the red to close in the green is a win for the NGX and keeps the bull at the winning spot. That's why the all-share index was in the green, 0.04%. A lot of battle went on before we could end here, even though it's marginal. Part of that battle is that corn oil lost 4 naira 65 kobo to close at 42 naira 20 kobo. Dover also lost 1 naira 45 kobo to close at 15 naira 95 kobo. Little wonder then that we see oil and gas deeply in the red, more than 2%. The giant fell today in that counter. Industrial goods is, however, not like that, 0.53% in the green. Thanks to Dangote Cement, it gained 3 naira to close at 99 naira 45 kobo. Consumer goods marginally up. Activity chart, however, was mixed at the close of trade. The faller here was values. It was down more than 100% compared to what you had the day before. But volume, however, did very, very good, 100% more than what we had in the previous session. So it's a bull market today, and we hope it keeps that at least until we get to next week. That's the stock market report. I'm Ini John McWise. Back to you.
Thanks, Ini. Now let's see some snapshot of major global markets closing figures for Thursday. And that's it on Business News. I'm Jeffrey Uzong is back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, FirstBank.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Russia has fired hypersonic missiles across Ukraine, hitting key elements of the country's military infrastructure. The Russian Defense Ministry says the strikes were in response to what Moscow called a terrorist attack in the region last week when members of a group called the Russian Volunteer Corps staged an incursion from Ukraine. Here's Siaman Puser with more on the international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 9 people have been killed and power at Europe's largest nuclear power plant has been lost after Russia launched missiles across Ukraine. Energoatom said a strike at the Zaporizhzhia plant meant the last link between the facility and Ukrainian power system was cut off. For the 6th time since it was taken over by Russia a year ago, the facility is now operating on diesel generators, which have enough supplies to last at least 10 days. At least 6 people have been killed in a new wave of other strikes here in the Lviv region. And smoke billowed over the capital Kyiv as it too sustained attacks. The UN Atomic Watchdog's director gave this warning about strikes on the power plant.
This is the largest nuclear power station in Europe, operating for the 6th time under emergency diesel generators. What are we doing? How can we sit here in this room this morning and allow this to happen? This cannot go on. I am astonished by the complacency. Yes, the complacency. What are we doing to prevent this from happening? We are the IAEA. We are meant to care about nuclear safety. Each time we are rolling a dice. And if we allow this to continue time after time, then one day our luck will run out.
Georgia's ruling party has said it will withdraw a controversial draft law in the face of mass protests and widespread international criticism. Thousands of protesters had taken to the streets in Tbilisi this week in anger as a Russian-style law began its passage through Parliament. Under the bill, non-government groups and media would be targeted if they take over 20% of funding from abroad. The main ruling party said it was pulling the bill unconditionally, describing itself as a party of government responsible to all members of society. Georgian Dream referred to the need to reduce confrontation in society. The Taliban governor of Afghanistan's northern Balkh province has been killed in an explosion in his office. Mohammed Dawood Muzammil is the most senior official to be killed since the Taliban returned to power in 2021. Local police said the cause of the latest blast was unclear. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. Striking workers in France have cut power to the large sports arena Stade de France and the Olympic Village in the northern suburb of Saint-Ouen on the outskirts of Paris. About 300 workers then gathered outside a power control plant wearing union vests and holding flares. It's part of industrial action against the government's plans to delay the state pension age by 2 years to 64. Opinion polls show a majority of voters oppose President Emmanuel Macron's plan to raise the retirement age, but the government says the policy change is essential to ensure the system does not go bust. Climate activists have sprayed paint in Milan's Duomo Square to raise awareness about climate change. The two activists sprayed yellow paint on the statue of the former Italian King Vittorio Emanuele II before unfurling posters highlighting Italy's continued investment in fossil fuels. In November, the same group staged other protests, including ones targeting a Van Gogh painting in Rome and an Andy Warhol-decorated car in Milan. They were soon taken away by police. And people across India have been dancing, chanting and throwing colourful powder on day one of Holi festivities, a significant Hindu festival celebrated across India. Footage showed celebrators taking part in Haranga, a game played between men and women at the Dauji temple near the northern city of Mathura. Also known as the Festival of Colours, Festival of Spring and Festival of Love, Holi is celebrated by millions of Hindus across India and around the world. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
And to give us more in the world of sports, here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Anne, and welcome to Sports News. Indeed, interesting times for Nigeria's CAF Confederation Cup representatives, Rivers United. Well, they moved a step closer to securing a place in the quarterfinals of the CAF Confederation Cup following a 3-1 victory against the Democratic Republic of Congo's daring club Motema Pembe in Uyo earlier today. Paul Akwa scored all 3 goals for the hosts in the highly entertaining encounter as the MPFL champions regained top in Group B with 9 points following the victory. Now, the Pride of Rivers will host Diable Noir of Congo in match day 5 on March the 19th at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Uyo, and the win will guarantee them a place in the last 8. Australian ambassador to China, Graham Fletcher, has unveiled the FIFA Women's World Cup trophy in Shanghai earlier today as part of its tour to all 32 of the tournament's participating nations. China is the last country in Asia on the trophy's tour before it heads to Morocco next. The trophy is scheduled to arrive in Nigeria on March the 26th in Abuja.
I'm thrilled that the Chinese team will be competing in Australia for all their matches. I hope this will further cement the sporting ties and positive spirit between our two countries. Sport is something that links together our multicultural society and also helps link Australia to other countries.
Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon could not be separated in an entertaining 2-2 draw in the Europa League last 16 first leg clash in Lisbon. Well, Hidemasa Morita's own goal sends the Premier League leaders back to London with honours even after Gonzalo Ignacio and Paulinho's goals helped Sporting recover from William Saliba's opener. Elsewhere, Jose Mourinho's Roma earned a comfortable 2-0 win at home against Real Sociedad to put one foot into the quarterfinal stage. A Bundesliga surprise package Union Berlin snatched a 3-3 draw against Belgian side Royal Union SG, while Bayer Leverkusen beat Ferencváros 2-0 at home. Real Madrid will not cooperate with UEFA's refund procedure for fans who attended last year's Champions League final, stating that the compensation proposed by the governing body is insufficient. Now, the final in Paris was delayed by 36 minutes after thousands of Liverpool supporters were unable to get into the Stade de France for the match on May the 28th last year, which Real Madrid won by a goal to nil. Although UEFA initially blamed the Merseyside club's fans for the mayhem, the governing body later apologized following the release of an independent review. And that's sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Ayotunde. President Muhammadu Buhari has reacted to the horrific accident involving a train and a bus in Lagos today. In a press statement, the president expressed sympathy over the accident. According to him, it is a distressing and extremely sad incident. He prayed for the souls of the deceased and the quick recovery of many who were injured. The president also commended the Lagos State authorities and the federal government agency for promptly getting involved in relief work. And before we go, and the main news again. 6 people were today killed with many others injured after a bus conveying some staff of the Lagos state government rammed into a train at a rail crossing in the Ikeja area of Lagos. We also told you that the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, suspended his political campaign for 3 days and erected flying acts at half-mast of flags. The deadly accident, it says the Just PDP and the Labour Party governorship candidates Olajide Adediran and Gbadebo Rhodes Fiver joined in commiserating with the victims. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawodu. Good night.
Hello everyone, welcome to Entertainment News on Channels Television. I am Ogechukwuosi Oyelude. On the program today, pop singer Skibi headline pro-women celebration in Lagos as the world celebrates International Women's Day on Wednesday. Still in the spirit of the International Women's Day, we bring you a top 5 highest grossing female directors in Nollywood. Plus, filmmaker Kunle Afolayan reveals plans for his planned Anikulapo series following the success of the feature movie on streaming platform Netflix. Details and many more on the program today, so don't go away. We'll be right back. All right, it's the week to celebrate the female gender in the spirit of the International Women's Day. An Afro-pop sensation, Skibi, lights up the room with his electrifying performance at the International Women's Week celebration in Lagos, organized by the Women's Works Incorporation. Now, women from various spheres of professionals gathered to discuss the theme, digital, innovation and technology for gender equality. Now, this year, the International Women's Day theme recognizes and celebrates the women and girls who are championing the advancement of transformative technology and digital education, as well as explores the impact of digital gender gap on widening economic and social inequalities. An Afro-pop sensation, Skibby lights up the room with his electrifying performance.
Delighted to celebrate the 2023 International Women's Day in the midst of remarkable and exponential women and men who are making visible and tangible contributions to advance the cause of women and the girl child. This annual celebration, as we know, has become one of the global flagship events aimed at expounding the ideals of women and reiterating the need of the rights of women to be respected and protected. I am therefore delighted to join the organizers of this conference and concert as we jointly play up and scale up conversations on issues affecting women and girls.
Now, still in the spirit of celebrating women, we bring you a list of top 5 highest grossing female directors in Nollywood and some of their works that earned them a spot on the list. Take a look.
On the 5th spot is Tokwe Oshi with her 2018 romantic